Привет, добрый вечер. It is your David Spletnikov, and welcome to another exciting edition of As the Blade Turns. Well, tonight, I have the great honor of reading to you an advanced copy of an interview given by Sir Дейв Лиз of the Skating Lesson to Angelina Nikitina of Match TV, a great Russian news outlet. And as I am reading this to you, I have to say, on prosta geni. He is just genius. These words, it is like God spoke about figurное катание. He wrote it me and telling me that he aims to speak to the Russian people with the same love and respect that they speak to the Americans with. It is with this same love and respect that Alexander Zhulin was recently asked his opinion about Timothy Leduc being the first non-binary athlete at the Winter Olympics. Alexander Zhulin's response showed the kind of love and care these great people show the Americans. In what category will he perform? Men or women? In a pair with a woman? He will skate as a man? And initially he was a man? How do I feel about this? Oh yes, I don't want to comment on these freaks. I don't want. Honestly, this is a real situation. This is such concern, such diplomacy, such concern for peoples of different experience, different life experience. This is different expression. This is a great concern. This is a man of maturity. This is a man of wisdom. And this is with the same kind of care that Дейв Лиз spoke to the Russian press. Let me read you. First question. Angelina Nikitina. Who is your favorite figure skater among ladies? Why does she catch you? I mean, of those who continue to compete. No, let me just tell you, when a Russian person asking you this question, they want you to say, a Russian person. Okay? That is the correct response. The words of the host of the skating lesson. As someone who analyzes figure skating, I don't particularly have favorite skaters. There are some skaters who are more intriguing than others, with big personalities, like Zhenya Medvedeva, Alyona Kosternaya. And there are those who combine both the artistic and technical sides of the sport in a masterful way. Wakaba Higuchi's free skate currently has the best balance of jumps, choreography, and musicality. In terms of the Russian ladies, each of the top 4 seniors is interesting to watch. Kamila Valieva is the favorite to win this season. Her quad jumps have great height and distance. She has a gorgeous free leg. Her programs are not up to her level of talent. I do not find her programs to be particularly memorable or interesting. They are certainly not at the level of the great short program she skated when she won the Junior Worlds. Alexandra Trusova has strong character and is determined to win. She will jump the maximum her body allows. Her abilities are on the technical side of the sport. Her program components are quite weak. Yet this year's music is ideal for her style of skating, and it creates an enjoyable package. Anna Shcherbakova's iron will, intelligence, and inner grace make her someone who is able to achieve more than what logic seems as possible. Her technique is not always the best, but her ability to achieve above her practice sessions is admirable and exciting to watch. Elizaveta Tuktamisheva has great athletic ability, perseverance, and humor. The entire world has really come to appreciate her love of the sport. Next question. How do you explain the phenomenon of the Tutberidze group? Or maybe you think that there is no phenomenon. How and why do the Russians win, in your opinion? This is a classic, great question. Russians talking about why are we so great? Yes, tell us we are great, right? We are winning. Tell us, will your farm? Yes, you are winning. Yes, you are winning the women's event. We will talk about the men later. Davik. Eteri Tutberidze is an incredibly intelligent, organized, and driven coach. I have followed her with great interest since the 2011-2012 season, when Polina Shelepin and Yulia Nitskaya were competing. I had seen Polina Shelepin compete during previous seasons, and realized that Eteri Georgievna had a unique point of view. I began to watch Evgenia Medvedeva's advanced novice competitions on YouTube with great interest. Plus, this is when she had the really ugly costumes with like the shoestrings in her hair, like she was that guy from NSYNC. Continue. In some respects, talented athletes training together is not uncommon. However, only talented coaches can navigate how to train so many athletes at one time and develop a system. Athletes and parents who want to follow who is successful. It is not unusual that they would flock to the most successful coach at the moment. In this case, Tutberidze's technical assistant, Sergei Dudakov, is extremely valuable. The choreography and music of the group have historically been very weak, but the program components of figure skating are increasingly judged on reputation and reflect more of the technical elements. Thus, the Tutberidze group has gotten away with mostly unimaginative programs, with few exceptions. There is a great video on YouTube that shows how Evgenia Medvedeva's programs at the 2016 and 2017 World Championships were almost exactly the same, with the exception of a few arm movements and facial expressions. When there are enough athletes to develop stiff competition, it is not magic. However, each athlete needs enough attention to succeed. We have seen a number of coaches do this. Bella and Marta Karoli typically coach 6 gymnasts at one time in the United States. They had more gymnasts in their schools who would work with assistants like Rick Newman and replace the girls in the top group when they were injured or deemed not talented enough. This is quite similar to Team Tutberidze. Galina Zmievskaya coached 8 top men at one time in the 1980s and early 1990s. Her group included Viktor Petrenko, Vladimir Petrenko, Vyacheslav Zagorudnik, Yuri Stimbalyuk, Vasily Eremenko, and Mika Shmerkin. All of these men earned medals in international competition. Tutberidze's system is not unique. Zmievskaya had the same system. She was head coach, just like Tutberidze. Valentin Nikolaev was assistant coach, just like Sergei Dudakov. And she had a choreographer, just like Daniil Gleikhengauz. However, she required 2 hours of ballet, and it showed in the refinement of her students. Я не понимаю what Team Tutberidze is doing with Alexei Zheleznyakov, but it shows in their lack of extension on the ice, with the exception of Kamila Valieva, whose free leg was surely given to her from God. The top dance coaches have always coached multiple top teams at one time. Alexei Mishin coached several top men at once in the 1990s. We also see this phenomenon with Irina Wiener. The competition, daily motivation, and the fear of obsolescence is as important as the coaching itself. What should other countries do to compete with the Russians? When will the dominance of Russian women end? Davik. Russia has so many skaters in their system that it will be very difficult to fall off. The United States had a very similar situation until the implementation of the international judging system. The US had great power, monetary influence, and success at that time. It was a colossal mistake that the Federation did not organize an opposition to the judging system. It greatly hurt the American ladies, who specialized in the more artistic side of the sport. Also, the combined retirements of Michelle Kwan, Sasha Cohen, Sarah Hughes, Jenny Kirk, Angelina Nikitina, and Anne-Patrice McDonough within a relatively short period of time ended the pipeline of talent. The next generation was not as deep or as prepared. The coaching in the United States has also not been replenished. There were great coaches who were not replaced with equivalent experts. As the television ratings fell and audiences for shows dried up, the sport fell into disrepair. There are simply not the numbers to generate enough competition. Within Russia, the most interesting situation would be whether Eteri Plushenko could structure a program to compete with Team Tutberidze. His juniors have better jump technique than Team Tutberidze for long-term success, but they have yet to master packaging or politics. Yana Rudkovskaya could offer great financial success to his skaters, which could prevent them from being lured to Sambo 70. If the age rule is increased, it could be catastrophic to Team Tutberidze. Their skaters can barely hang on by age 17. Look at how Zhenya Medvedeva peaked at the 2017 Russian Nationals and was a shadow of herself at the 2018 Olympic Games. With every added centimeter, her skaters diminish. We only have to look at the disintegration of Lipnitskaya, Medvedeva, Zagitova, and Shcherbakova to realize how precarious turning 18 is for a Tutberidze-trained skater. It is not a surprise that Zhenya Plushenko realizes this, and he supports raising the age limit. His technique is from Mishin, who has proven he can teach technique that lasts with older skaters. This is why he was sought out by Karolina Kostner and has continued success generation after generation. Internationally, the Japanese and Korean ladies are the most prepared to challenge Russia. The Japanese have great jumps, choreography, and triple axels. They are not performing the same number of quads, and the fact that Kaori Sakamoto has not been able to learn a triple axel or quad toe has been a great benefit to Russia. The Korean ladies have great depth, but the current skaters lack individuality. If they can learn to teach their skaters consistent quad toes, it will make the international competitions more interesting. Their triple lux, triple toe combinations are greatly superior to the rest of the world. But it doesn't matter much without the base value of quad jumps. Now that technical elements vastly outweigh the value of program components, it is a time for recalibration. However, the judging of components has become so political that even Sasha Trusova is given good marks for PCS. This is not accurate, but it is how the world works. Who would you like to see the main competitor for Russian ladies? Rika Kihira, when she is healthy, or someone else? Devik. I would like to see the strongest skaters challenge the best in the world. Kaori Sakamoto and Wakaba Higuchi currently appear to be the strongest competitors. Kaori's biggest weakness is a lack of a triple axel or quad. Her speed is much better than the Russian ladies. Wakaba Higuchi combines great jumps with great artistry. She needs to control her nerves and establish a consistent triple axel in her short program and 2 triple axels in the free skate. Both Kaori and Wakaba have more speed and jump with more height and power than most of the Russian skaters. Who would you like to see as champion of the Beijing Olympics in the ladies competition? Why? Devik. I would like to see the skaters who perform the best technically and artistically judged accurately, and would like the results to reflect the actual performances on the ice. This is often a fantasy in subjective sports. On prosta geni. Do you really believe in the Eteri bonus? Yes. It turns out that there is a world conspiracy and all judges support Tutberidze. Is this true? How did it happen, in your opinion? Devik. I invite you to watch the recent exhibition performances of Medvedeva and Zagitova at the Russian Nationals. These programs without difficult jumps let us see the true quality of skating skills and program components. Then I invite you to watch recent exhibitions of Mao Sada, Karolina Kostner, or even Michelle Kwan rollerblading in the parking lot. Tell me, who has the real skating skills and ability to express and interpret music? And who is trained like a robot, whose ability to skate was masked by pantomiming and rotational technique designed for prepubescent girls? It is depressing to witness such depleted ability of girls who should be performing with passion and ability. Christy Yamaguchi entertained audiences, improved her skating, and jumped all her triples until she was 30 years old. These girls are expired like rotten milk by age 20. Next question. And a few words about Alyona Kosternaya, who promised to stay in sports another 4 years. It seems you don't believe in her. Why? Elizaveta Tuktamyshev, for example, skates at the age of 25 and competes successfully. She won a silver medal at the World Championship. Davik. Alyona Kosternaya was one of the most interesting skaters we had ever seen. She was raised in the school of Yelena Tchaikovskaya under the tutelage of Elena Zhagun, which she had such superior skating skills and basic technique. Unfortunately, we have seen a skater who went from Tchaikovskaya technique to Dudakov technique to Mishin technique and back to Dudakov technique. The injuries and personal situations have taken their toll. If you watch her skating from 2020 and then watch her performances on the Grand Prix, it is clear that her basic skating, her back flexibility, her ability to jump triple axel, and even her ability to jump a true triple lutz has greatly diminished. Even the magical sparkle in her eye has gone. She is no longer as interesting of a performer. We have watched her try to recapture her previous magic for the last 18 months. We have watched her fail to learn a quadruple salchow for 3 seasons. Her disagreements with her coaches have also taken a toll. We did see Daniil Gleikhengauz speak negatively about her twice this fall, before he went on Channel 1 to do damage control after the negative press ensued. If Alyona Kosternaya can get healthy and recapture her love of skating, she was someone I would pay to perform in an ice show, or watch on Ice Age with great interest. Next question. He continued. The up-and-coming juniors with multiple quads will simply make it too difficult to contend. There is only so much she can do against the likes of Akatieva, Petrosian, Zhilina, Zhinina, and Muravyova. It is a young girl's sport, and she can thank her coach, Eteri Tutberidze, for speeding this development of the sport along at the expense of its longevity. It is now like gymnastics, where there is typically a new champion every season prior to Simone Biles. Tuktamysheva's basic technique has allowed her to withstand so many years. Unfortunately, her basic skating and artistic side has never been truly remarkable. I do enjoy her personality and ability to mask the breaks in her programs. What program of Russian ladies do you like the most this season? Davik. Elizaveta Tuktamysheva's free skate is the most entertaining for viewers. Kamila Valieva has the best skating overall, but I have seen many programs to Bolero that were more nuanced, sophisticated, and interesting. I wish you would return to The Girl on the Ball. It was an excellent program. And which programs don't you like, and why? Davik, it depresses me to see Alyona Kosternaya looking like a shadow of her former self. The joy has been stripped from her skating. I greatly enjoyed her programs to No Time to Die, The Departure, and Adios Nonino. Most of Daniil Gleikhengauz's programs remind me of fast food. It is technically food, but it is mass-produced and of a quality I wouldn't find suitable for my dog. Our foreign colleagues often criticize the work of Daniil Gleikhengauz, and you do too. Can you explain your claims to him again? This is a typical Russian journalist looking for headlines. You can see it on Sports.ru tomorrow. Host at skating lesson criticizes choreographer Daniil Gleikhengauz. Well, let's see what Davik has to say. His programs have little to do with music, and are often the same from skater to skater. While there is a sameness that happens whenever a choreographer is busy and in demand, one can hope that they find the music to be interesting. Daniil tends to pick lyrical music that is very vacant, empty, and relatively meaningless. There are not many highs and lows. There is little emotion, and it lacks a story. He does not select the work of classical composers. He is not giving the audience Swan Lake or Rachmaninoff. Instead, the music is reminiscent of music you would hear shopping in Nordstrom, in an elevator, or 2/3 of the way through a film, when the director needs to include a montage to move the story along. Today, a coach put on Kamila Valieva's music from last season, Storm. As one of the coaches in the ring said, "This is not a storm, this is a drizzle." Then, Angelina Nikitina moves to pairs. Mishna Galyamov or Boykova Kozlovsky, or Sui and Han. Why? Again, they are fishing for Russia is the best. Devik. Sui and Han are the greatest skaters in the world. Unfortunately, we all have to cross ourselves 3 times when they perform their side-by-side jumps. The Russian Federation was brilliant when they pushed through the rule to lower the base value of throw quads and quad twists. Well, it seemed like they were just responding to a distaste for Duhamel and Redford, who performed these elements when Nina Mosher's pairs were unable to learn them. And they said they were too dangerous. Sui and Han were the most harmed. They could have dominated the sport like the great Irina Rodina. It was an expert move to devalue this for the health of athletes, when the same federation encourages 11-year-old girls to learn quad jumps. I had a great laugh when Nina Mosher was encouraging the increase of the value of these elements in recent interviews. She is a true master of the politics of sport. Tamara Moskvina is one of the smartest coaches of all time. I greatly enjoy how she has navigated every era of the sport and continues to produce quality teams who peak at the right time. I think she will be very successful at the upcoming Olympic Games, and her pairs will achieve great results. Then they move to the dancing pairs. Victoria Sinitsina and Nikita Katsalapov, and Gabriela Papadakis and Guillaume Cizeron, in your opinion, are the duets of equal strength. In America, we call this a trick question. Devik. No. Papadakis and Cizeron are much stronger. Unfortunately, their free dance is not up to their usual brilliance. It does not interest me. Sinitsina and Katsalapov have never had an interesting free dance. They perform Russian paint by numbers, like a child who is pretending to be a great artist by following a set pattern. Their free dance music edit is particularly atrocious. The rhythm dance is also lackluster. Elenik and Katsalapov were a much more interesting and memorable duet. Then, Angelina Nikitina gets what they are really here for with the ice dance. What do you think about the pair with Smolkin? Devik. I think Eteri Tutberidze is a very clever woman. Next question. I need to ask you about Tutberidze's daughter, Diana Davis. Why were you so confident at the start of the season that she would go to the Olympics? Side note, this is a reporter pretending to be dumb. They want David to say the thing they cannot say. They will act, oh, so surprised. David. The first thing that intrigued me was when we saw that she sent them to abroad to work in America with Igor Shpilban. Based on the comments on my channel and the reaction from the Russian press when Evgenia Medvedeva left Russia to train in North America, I knew what a big deal this was. To do this says that there is not a trainer with such ability in Russia. I understand why Eteri chose this. Igor Shpilban is a very competent and clever coach with great relations with judges around the world. He has been able to pull political magic over the years. He's a relatively strong technical coach who specializes in great lifts and elements. Igor also specializes in pairing a strong male skater with a very weak and slight female skater whose strength tends to be her physical appearances and charismatic abilities. He used this formula to great success with Belbin and Augusta, Chalk and Bates, and Nguyen and Kolesnik. Diana Davis and Gleb Smokin are the epitome of this. Only Diana is not quite as charismatic or musical as Tennis Belbin, Madison Chalk, or Evenly Nguyen. Their scores have climbed just like Yulia Lebnitskaya's during the fall of 2013. While their performance on the ice has not changed much, their assessment from the judges certainly has. This is also not surprising, because Tutberidze made another move that was brilliant politically, even for her. When we saw that Sasha Zulin was choreographing for Trusova and Morozov, I gasped. This was when Tutberidze was suddenly pretending to be a pair coach on par with Tamara Moskvina. Alexander Zulin is the main political rival of the Montreal Dance School. It is no secret that the public waits to see which judges will be drawn at every competition and predicts the future results accordingly. Trusova and Morozov wound up choosing a different short program, but I would not be surprised to see Sinitsina and Katsalapov perform in Tutberidze's ice shows this spring. Sasha Zulin now gives quotes about how he and Eteri Tutberidze have been good friends for years. The rise of Davis and Smokin and the quotes given from allies in the press have been textbook and particularly amusing to witness. I have no doubt that they will one day medal at the World Championships, and I have no doubt that the rest of the world will react with a mix of horror, outrage, and disgust, just like the audience at the Russian Nationals. It is interesting to see Stepanov and Bukin suddenly add Nikolai Morozov to their coaching team, because Kolya hires a separate tactical specialist to teach his daughter. This did appear to pay off, as they were able to hold off Davis and Smokin's favor with the judges and win the gold at the Russian Nationals. Next question. Who is your favorite in men's skating now? Yuzuru Hanyu and Nathan Chen are most ready to fight for the gold medal. I greatly wish that Mikhail Kolyada had changed coaches years earlier. His technique and basic line are light years ahead of his competitive abilities. He may be the best skater, but his head is not the best under the pressure of competition. Kazuki Tamona has brilliant programs this season choreographed by Misha G. He needs more difficult quad jumps in the future. Next question. In our country, you have recently gained the reputation of one of the main critics of Russian figure skaters. Sometimes your statements sound like provocation, and are often explained by envy of the success of our sportsmen. What can you say to these accusations? Devik. It is no secret that I always enjoy how a propaganda outlet can take one line from a 90-minute program and paint me as an enemy or chief critic for clicks on a website. Everyone knows I am a lover of the sport, who skates 5 to 6 days per week. I also employ a team of experts who coach me throughout the year. Galina Zmievskaya, Viktor Petrenka, Igor Lukanin, Roman Serov, Nina Petrenka, and Kristen Fraser. The only person who isn't from a former Soviet country is a blonde girl from California who managed to represent Azerbaijan. My masseuse is from Latvia, and my Pilates instructor is a former Russian folk dancer. I spent thousands of dollars on skating per month and selected the best coaches in the area that money could buy. Tell me please, who isn't doing their research? And who perhaps is taking things out of context because I miss seeing great technique, the influence of ballet, and true mastery of the sport. I do thank the press for painting me as a nefarious figure. It draws great attention to my videos. We have a saying in America: all press is good press. Next question. Tutberidze will consider the Olympics successful only if her athletes win all the medals. I think it's quite real. What reaction can we expect from you to this? Will you look for injustice? Devik. It is what she has spent the last 4 years working to achieve. I expect her to win all the medals, the same way I expect that one day I will suffer the fate of death. Looking for injustice in figure skating is the equivalent of looking for corruption in politics and big business. Last question. If you could compose the portrait of a perfect figure skater, whose characteristics would you take? Davik. Ekaterina Gordieva and Sergei Grinkov in pairs, Tessa Virtue and Scott Moyer in dance, with the added sex pool of Usova and Zulin. Mikhail Kolyada with steadier nerves, and Kim Yuna with a free leg that actually extends and turns out, with the musicality of Michel Kwan and the natural expression of Oksana Bayul. Well, my friends, this was a great interview. Very interesting questions. Very interesting and different questions by Angelina Nikitina. This is, on par with the Pulitzer. And I must say, on prosta geni. Пока.